Welcome back to Forward Progress, presented by Fanduel. We are back for another edition of our Saturday prop show here with HitMan by my side. I'm Jason Cooper, and we are going to cover HitMan's 3 favorite props for this Sunday football slate. But before we head into that, I just want to quickly remind everyone, if you watched this last week and you're watching us again this week, there's a chance that you are of the 60% who are not subscribed. So if you're not subscribed, please hit that subscribe button. I know we only went 2-1, but I promise you there will be other days where we go 3-0. Hopefully today can be that day. So if you're part of that 60%, hit that subscribe button. If you're part of that 40%, hit that like button. We appreciate you. We see you subscribers out there. Anyways, hey man, let's jump right into it. First game you want to start with, Houston Texans versus the Minnesota Vikings. Vikings have looked fantastic over the past 2 games. I mean, if you've been a Forward Progress listener throughout the offseason, you would know that we're high on the Vikings, but I think a lot of people are surprised by their performance. So there's a prop you like in this game. Tell us a little bit about it here.
Yeah, I like Johnny Munt over 21.5 receiving yards. Now, Johnny Munt for the season, believe it or not, has the same amount of receiving yards as Josh Oliver, who's just completely a blocking tight end for the Vikings. But Munt has ran 26 routes on the season compared to only 8 for Oliver. He's been hurt by game script the last few weeks. Sam Darnold only had 26 and 24 attempts the last 2 weeks because Minnesota just got up really early against their opponents. And any neutral or catch-up game script, which we could easily see as they're underdogs to the Texans this week, is going to help Johnny Munt, especially because he's the lone tight end that plays in 11 personnel for the Vikings. It's been a popular prop the last 2 weeks. There's been multiple other services that have been giving out Munt, betting his number up the last 2 weeks. And I think that there's just been some negative variance that's caused him to been going under. Last year, he played in 75% of the snaps, only twice. That was when Hawkinson got hurt the last 2 weeks of the season. He had 7 targets, 6 targets, 39 yards, 58 yards in that game, in those games. And he's finally, once again, he's playing 75, 80% of the snaps. Just think he's getting a little bit unlucky with the game script. So this week, if there is some better game script for the Vikings to get those Darnold pass attempts up, I think he could be a popular target, especially because they're without Jordan Addison. Again, the receivers replacing him, Jalen Naylor, Brandon Powell, not exactly guys that are going to command a lot of volume. And even though Justin Jefferson is the best wide receiver in the NFL, he does have a very tough matchup this week with Derek Stingley.
Yeah, plus he has don't know if he's for sure injured, but he's been dealing with an injury over the past week or so. So maybe that might affect things here. Number right now is at 21.5 towards the over. It's priced at -113. Quickly, Hitman, before we get into our next game, what number would you play this up until?
Well, if you there's a little bit lower numbers out there at 21.5, so a little higher right now, but I'd go to 23.5 on Munt.
All right, so those are for everyone who's watching maybe on the Sunday morning and looking around for these Munt props. Hopefully they don't creep past that 23.5, but we always recommend line shopping. We're just referencing the price on FanDuel here. Let's get into our next game. I'm shocked with this game. We got the Philadelphia Eagles taking on the New Orleans Saints. If you were to tell me that the New Orleans Saints would be favorites against the Philadelphia Eagles at any point this year, preseason, I would have been absolutely floored. But here we are, week 3. Who would have thought Clint Kubiak is a magician? Anyways, Hitman, there's a prop you like in this game. Tell us about it.
Like Saquon Barkley under 3.5 receptions, -140 right now. So throughout Saquon Barkley's career, this has been a 62% under bet. The last 30 games, it's been a 67% under bet for Barkley. Now, again, whenever you bring up like percentages throughout a guy's career, I usually don't like to use them because so much changes throughout their career that the numbers just tend to not be relevant over the past. But with Saquon Barkley, like you try to think about like what really has changed for him. He's gone to an Eagles team that like Jalen Hurts just does not target running backs at a high rate throughout his career. A lot of scrambling quarterbacks tend to not target running backs compared to some of the more of the pocket based quarterbacks. You even look at like a guy like DeAndre Swift last year. He came to the Eagles and everybody's talking about he's going to play some wide receiver for them. He's such a good scat back. He became a guy that was lined a lot of weeks by like the 12.5 receiving yard number because Hurts just is not the guy that targets running backs a ton. Kellen Moore spoke just recently about that they've been maybe overusing Barkley a little bit the past 2 weeks. And when you just try to think logically about if they are overusing him now, if they want to cut back a little bit, where is that going to come? Well, Kenneth Gainwell is the backup to Saquon Barkley. What is Kenneth Gainwell known as? He's known as a pass catcher. And kind of like you saw last week with Barkley dropping that pass to win that game, like Saquon Barkley is an explosive player, but he's not the best pass catcher. He wasn't with the Giants. So this is just a high number, in my opinion, on Barkley. So I would go under the 3.5 minus 140, would play it to minus 155.
All right, so 3.5 minus 140. Again, if we're watching this, if you're not watching this right as it comes out, chances are the lines have probably moved. You're watching this Sunday morning, always shop around. So you mentioned the under 3.5 is good up still minus 150. You said here right now on FanDuel, under 3.5 is priced at minus 140. Gonna lock that in. And like you mentioned there, that recency bias where don't want to put it all on Saquon Barkley, but he drops a key pass in a game. You could easily see them reducing those snaps, giving them to Kenneth Gainwell. For our last game on the board, we're going to head over to the Sunday night football game. But before we do that, I want to quickly remind everyone about FanDuel. Kick off this NFL season with a win on FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. We love FanDuel here on Forward Progress for their fantastic live menu that is super easy to use. Their extensive list of props that you can kind of look at and go through and comb through and find some very fun things there, as well as their lightning fast payouts. Right now, all customers get a profit boost every single NFL game day. That's right, every NFL game day. That means you can pump up your gridiron winnings multiple times a week. This week, this Sunday, we have 3 profit boost tokens for you, a double your winnings profit boost token on any money line bet, an anytime TD profit boost token, and an SGP profit boost token for the 4 p.m. slate and the Sunday night football slate. FanDuel has tons of ways you can get in on the NFL action. You can bet on money lines, spreads, player props, and so much more. Plus, with super simple live betting, lightning fast bet settlements, and instant withdrawals, FanDuel makes betting on the NFL easier than ever before. Just visit FanDuel.com/forward progress to download FanDuel today. Must be 21 plus and present in select states or 18 plus and present in DC. Opt-in required. Bonus issued as non-withdrawable profit boost tokens. Restrictions apply, including token expiration. See terms for both offers at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit fanduel.com/RG. Call 1-888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org/chat in Connecticut or visit mdgamblinghelp.org in Maryland. Hope is here. Visit gamblinghelplinema.org or call 1-800-327-5050 for 24/7 support in Massachusetts, or call 1-877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY in New York. All right, let's get into the last game here. Sunday night football game, Kansas City Chiefs, Atlanta Falcons. Atlanta Falcons coming off a big win in primetime on Monday night. Kansas City Chiefs lose Isaiah Pacheco. Don't know how much that is going to affect your prop tonight, Hitman, or your prop for today, Hitman. So, Hitman, what's your prop? Tell us a little bit about it and tell us why you like it.
Yeah, we're going to go Patrick Mahomes over 35.5 pass attempts. And what you mentioned about Pacheco's injury, that actually does affect how many pass attempts Mahomes is going to have, in my opinion. The Chiefs are always a really high pass rate over expectation offense. And Andy Reid has been criticized, like even going back to some of his days in Philly, about not wanting to run the ball enough. He gets bored with the run. Finally, with Pacheco, like he seemed like they found the running game, but like now you have a spot where the Chiefs' 2 running backs that are going to be the mainstays in this game, Carson Steele is a converted fullback. Like this guy was projected to possibly play fullback for the Chiefs before the year, and now he is the starting running back. Samaje Perine just got to this team 3 weeks ago, and he is not a runner. He is known as just a third down pass catcher, going to be in there for pass blocking. So I think that there's a spot where Kansas City is going to shoot, like their pass rate over expectation, which is already high, is going to possibly be the highest in the league this week. Mahomes, throughout his career, is 60% to this over. We're getting a little bit of value just based off how the first 2 games have went, where Mahomes not getting a ton of pass attempts off against the Ravens. And the Bengals, I do not believe that it's sticky. And then one other thing that I found interesting was that Patrick Mahomes, all offseason, we heard about like they wanted to throw the ball deeper. this year. And deep pass attempts tend sometimes not to be good for pass attempts over, just because, if it's a 70-yard touchdown, that's only one pass attempt that you get on the drive for Mahomes. But last week, the Chiefs went back to kind of their offense from last year, where last year he went 13-7 to this over. Mahomes only had 4.2 air yards per pass attempt. And you're kind of seeing that, like, Xavier Worthy, maybe not year one, that he's that guy that is just going to light the league on fire. Marquise Brown, the guy that they thought was going to take the top off the defense this year, he is now out for the season in all likelihood. So I just think that there's a lot of paths for Mahomes to have a high pass attempt game in this one. This is a lower number than you typically get on Mahomes. A lot of times you do find them in that 36.5, 37.5 sometimes pass attempt range. So let's go with Mahomes over 35.5.
All right, sounds good. Over 35.5 right now, priced at -120 over at FanDuel. Again, Hitman, same question every time. What number are you playing this up to?
Yeah, I really need 35.5 on it, but I would go up to -130 on the juice.
Right. So not a lot of room here. Always shop around if you're watching this after the fact. Make sure you try and find the best price available before you bet it. Just, again, referencing the FanDuel numbers here. Before we head out, Hitman, we do this thing every week where I create an SGP and you're going to react to it. This week, you got me inspired with this Patrick Mahomes over. Unfortunately, on FanDuel, we cannot SGP pass attempts, but I'm going to use your prop here as like a concept to build my bet, my SGP. So we're going to start off and kind of create a story for this game. I see the Chiefs winning by 7 points. I see them covering the spread and a little bit more. So I'm going to take the alt spread, Chiefs -6.5. Like you said, Hitman, a lot of pass volume for Patrick Mahomes. I'm going to take his over of 275 plus passing yards, and we're going to lock those two things in. Going to throw in Carson Steele under 57.5 rushing and receiving yards. You mentioned it before. Expected to be a fullback, went to UCLA wearing the USC shirt. We hate UCLA. So Carson Steele under 57.5. And then finally, Patrick Mahomes under 18.5 rushing yards. That parlay there pays out 21-1 over on FanDuel. Hitman, Kansas City Chiefs -6.5. Mahomes 275 plus passing yards. Carson Steele under 57.5 rushing and receiving yards. Mahomes under 18.5 rushing yards. You like it?
I actually bet the Mahomes over passing yards. It was like in the low 260s when I bet that. So I do like your Mahomes 275 plus on it. I talked a little negative about Carson Steele, so I'm not opposed to that leg of it. The only leg that I think I might disagree with you is I would maybe look Mahomes over on the rush yards personally instead of the under, just because we're projecting a lot more, or at least I'm projecting a lot more dropbacks for Patrick Mahomes in this game. Just the more dropbacks you get, typically the more rush attempts that the quarterback could have. He's not going to have a lot of designed rush attempts, so it's going to be just if he gets a lot of dropbacks in this game. So that's the only leg I like the first two. I might go opposite on the other one, but I'm probably not going to play it, so I'll just be rooting for you.
I appreciate that, Hitman, and I'm actually going to change that right now. So if you're watching this, I hope you didn't play this already.
And if you go 2-1, yeah, and if you go 2-1 and my leg loses, then you could roast me for the rest of the time.
That's exactly what we're doing. We're going to swap the under for the over 18.5. And if we lose, you can tweet at Hitman and blame him for the loss right there. That parlay pays out 15-1. Let us know if you're playing it. Tweet it at us if it ends up winning. Even if it loses and that last leg is the Patrick Mahomes over and he went under, tweet it at Hitman. I can already see the end of the game. We're live Sunday Night Football and Mahomes kneels away the over. Anyways, that wraps it up for us here today. Hope everyone enjoyed it. Guys, before you head out, please hit that like button. It goes a long way for us here on the channel. And if you're part of the 60% that watch us that do not subscribe, what the F are you doing? Hit the subscribe button. It's so easy. You'll never miss out on our newest content. We'll be back again Sunday morning with Rob Pizzola live here on the Forward Progress YouTube channel for the Pizza Buffet, where we run through every NFL game on the board. Rob talks his favorite props, gives you a nice little pregame warm-up for the 1 o'clock slate. Easily the best way to start your Sunday morning. So if you're not subscribed, make sure you're subscribed so you can catch that. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. We'll see you guys here in the next one.